In a salute to the grocery industry's best and brightest, the Iowa Grocery Industry Association recognizes Robert J. Myers, Chairman and CEO of Casey's General Stores, for a lifetime of extraordinary commitment and service to the grocery industry. Myers was born on November 7, 1946 in Des Moines, Iowa, where he lived with his father, Robert John Sr., his mother, Myrna, his brother, and two sisters. Myers was only 11 years old when his father passed away suddenly, changing everything.
He was a wonderful person, and he was certainly the focus of my life, and I think about him often.
The family struggled to make ends meet. Bob's mom took a job, and Bob got a paper route in their North Side Des Moines neighborhood. When he was old enough, Myers went to work at East 14th Auto Salvage, where he learned to be a mechanic, developed a love of racing, and crossed paths frequently with his neighbor and Casey's founder, Don Lamberti.
Bob grew up in my neighborhood, and so I met him on occasion as a customer of the store I had at East 14th and Broadway. He was a skinny little red-haired kid, was kind of brazen. Graduating
from Sadell High School in 1965, Myers was drafted into the Army in May of 1966. The 19-year-old completed Officer Candidate School, received a commission as a second lieutenant, and married his childhood sweetheart, Janice Sue, in May 1967. Throughout his military career, he served tours of duty in Vietnam, Saudi Arabia, Germany, and Kuwait.
And kind of knew that, the Army was very appealing to me. It provided the kind of discipline and structure that I didn't necessarily have at the time. I remember sending home the platoon picture, and I was one of the very few that were smiling in that picture.
Myers retired from the military, a lieutenant colonel, after 22 years of distinguished service. Soon afterward, he paid his friend Don Lamberti a visit.
Well, I kind of lost track to Bob because he joined the Army. 22 years later, he calls me, and he said he'd like to come in and visit. Said he just retired from the Army a few months ago, and that he was bored stiff, and he'd like to have something to do.
Been commander or supervisor of people almost my entire military career, and I didn't want any of that. I wanted to be a staff person responsible for my own actions and let others worry about personnel issues and that.
To my surprise, here comes this mature, very slim, trim, physically fit young man in my office, and the only thing that resembled that brazen young man who worked at the junkyard was the red hair. So we got into the discussion, and he said, well, I'll take the job. And I said, well, Bob, we haven't talked about salary or benefits program yet. And he said, oh, I know that you'll treat me fairly.
Bob was put in charge of building a new Casey's corporate headquarters and distribution center in Ankeny, Iowa.
When he was given the job of overseeing the warehouse, of course, the rest of the executives are obviously consumed with their jobs running the company. So it was a big job for him to oversee that. So the confidence that they had in him and the job that he did was excellent. He saved them a lot of money. I mean, this was a big deal at that time.
In the first year, we had the most spotless, spit-shine, Army-type facility in the country. And so we had a few other problems out in the territory, and so we handed that job to Bob, and the problem went away. Every time we handed a new job to Bob, the problem went away. So we recognized his leadership ability.
A series of promotions followed, which ended with Bob being named president and CEO in 2006, after former CEO Ron Lamb passed away.
I know on some instances that we kind of leapfrogged Bob in front of some people that had been here longer. They were happy to see Bob in his position because he actually improved their leadership ability.
During his tenure at Casey's, Myers guided the company through one of its greatest challenges in 2010, when two outside companies attempted a takeover.
his dedication at that time and the hours, I mean, there was hours and hours and hours put in on that. His just total determination to do what was right.
He gave us an attitude that we don't like to be pushed around. And we pushed back. The gratifying thing was that it was throughout the whole company. And a few times I stopped at stores where people didn't know me, and I said, well, I see somebody's trying to take you over. And the person would say something like, don't worry, we aren't going anyplace. You know. And you kind of walked out of there and you thought, damn right, we're not going anyplace. You don't have that type of culture in a company unless you have it at the top.
While Meyer's ability to analyze and streamline processes saved the company millions, it is his ability to motivate and inspire results from those around him that leaves a lasting impression.
Bob hires the right people and lets them do their job.
He's a hard worker. He pays attention to detail, and he has a way of getting his people to perform, and the loyalty factor of his employees.
You know, the heart and soul of this company is the employees, and it's 32,000 plus, and I wish I could know every one of those employees by name. You know, it's just wonderful people that we work with. We've just got to always do the right thing by them.
Bob's tireless work at each position along his career path has led to an unprecedented era of growth. Under his leadership, Casey's General Stores has grown to encompass 1,900 stores in 14 states and employs more than 32,000 individuals.
What the stock was when he took over and what the stock is when he's leaving. That's a phenomenal accomplishment.
And he quadrupled the value, shareholder value, for all of the stakeholders. Quite an accomplishment.
He's dedicated to do the right things, and he's done that in his position as chairman and all of his duties in Casey's. He's always put the company first.
Myers is a man of great faith who lives his life with integrity, cares about others, and gives generously of his time and treasure.
He is definitely a man of faith, which I am, and Don Lamberti was, and all of our trips, it's Bob and me and Don, we're the ones going to church, and we're the ones trying to solve the world's problems. But he's a man that's done a lot of good things anonymously that people don't know. But he's a man of deep faith.
Bob's legacy at Casey's includes giving back to the community through a nonprofit called Casey's Charities. Casey's uses the nonprofit to execute major fundraising projects for organizations such as St. Jude's Hospital, Muscular Dystrophy Association, Special Olympics, Autism Speaks, and Hope for the Warriors Veterans Assistance Program.
You know, you look at the work that he does with our soldiers and how he takes care of them, the other things that he directed his company to be involved with, and how they've, from the Wounded Warriors to all the different charities on that side. I think that he's a very compassionate person, a very loyal person, a very patriotic person.
One of Meyer's latest endeavors will bring his career at Casey's full circle as the company builds a second distribution center in Terre Haute, Indiana. When it opens in February 2016, it will allow Casey's to reach another 500 miles, opening new territory and additional opportunities. Myers will step down as Casey's CEO in April next year. But thanks to his enduring works, Casey's is well positioned for the future.
To achieve all that he's done through the military ranks, that's tough. To advance to the level that he did, you have to be smart, you have to be driven, and you have to be very accomplished to do the things that he did. And then to have a second career where you become the CEO of one of Iowa's greatest and largest companies. I mean, he's just very, very accomplished.
Bob's legacy of leadership and caring make him the perfect choice for this year's Lifetime Achievement Award.